Luke chapter 23. And the whole company of them rose up and brought him to Pilatus. And they began to accuse him, saying, We found this man perverting our nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is anointed a king. And Pilatus asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Yehudim? And he answered him, saying, Thou sayest. And Pilatus said to the chief priests and the multitudes, I find no fault in this man. But they were the more urgent, saying, He stirreth up the people, teaching throughout all Judea, and beginning from Galilee even to this place. But when Pilatus heard it, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And when he knew that he was of Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem in these days. Now when Herod saw Yeshua, he was exceeding glad, for he was of a long time desirous to see him, because he had heard concerning him, and he hoped to see some miracle done by him. And he questioned him in many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and the scribes stood, vehemently accusing him. And Herod with his soldiers set him at naught, and mocked him, and arrayed him in brilliant apparel, sent him back to Pilatus. Arraying him in brilliant apparel, sent him back to Pilatus. And Herod and Pilatus became friends with each other that very day, for before they were at enmity between themselves. And Pilatus called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, and said to them, Ye brought to me this man as one that perverteth the people, and behold, I, having examined him before you, found no fault in this man touching those things whereof ye accuse him. No, nor yet Herod, for he sent him back to us, and behold, nothing worthy of death hath been done by him. I will therefore chastise him, and release him. But they cried out all together, saying, Away with this man, and release to us Barabbas, one who for a certain insurrection made in the city, and for murder, was cast into prison. And Pilatus spoke to them again, desiring to release Yeshua. But they shouted, saying, Crucify! Crucify him! And he said to them the third time, Why? What evil hath this man done? I have found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and release him. But they were urgent with loud voices, asking that he might be crucified. And their voices prevailed. And Pilatus sentenced for their request to happen. And he released him that for insurrection and murder had been cast into prison, whom they asked for. But Yeshua he delivered up to their will. And when they led him away, they laid hold upon one Shimon of Curene, coming from the country, and laid on him the cross to bear it after Yeshua. And there followed him a great multitude of the people, and of women who bewailed and lamented him. But Yeshua, turning to them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming, in which they will say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bare, and the breasts that never gave suck. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they do these things in the green tree, what shall be done in the dry? And there were also two others, malefactors, led with him to be put to death. And when they came to the place which is called Skull, they crucified him and the malefactors, one on the right hand side, and the other on the left. And Yeshua said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And parting his garments among them, they cast lots. And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also scoffed at him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if this is the anointed of God, his chosen. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him, offering him vinegar, and saying, If thou art the king of the Yehudim, save thyself. And there was also a superscription over him, This is the king of the Yehudim. And one of the malefactors that were hanged railed on him, saying, Art not thou the anointed? Save thyself and us. But the other answered, and rebuking him, said, Dost thou not even fear God, seeing thou art in the same condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds, but this man hath done nothing amiss. And he said, Yeshua, remember me when thou comest in thy kingdom. And he said to him, Amen, to thee I say today, with me thou shalt be in the paradise. And it was now about the 6th hour, and a darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour, the sun's light failing, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And Yeshua, crying with a loud voice, said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said this, he expired. And when the centurion saw what was done, he glorified God, saying, Certainly this was a righteous man. And all the multitude that came together to this sight, when they beheld the things that were done, returned, smiting their breasts. And all his acquaintances and the women that followed with him from Galilee stood afar off, seeing these things. And behold, a man named Joseph, who was a counselor, a good and righteous man, he had not consented to their counsel and deed, a man of Arimathea, a city of the Yehudim, who was looking for the kingdom of the God. This man went to Pilatus and asked for the body of Yeshua. And he took it down and wrapped it in a linen cloth and laid him in a tomb that was hewn in stone, where never man had yet lain. And it was the day of the preparation, and the Shabbat drew on. And the women who had come with him out of Galilee followed after, and beheld the tomb, and how his body was laid. And they returned, and prepared spices and ointments. And on the Shabbat they rested according to the command.